Okay, we're going to look at exercise 5, where it's the graph interpretation of the parabolas and the straight line. I'm going to do question by question, just so that you understand what each one has to say to you. So, when I look at the first question, I have to understand what each point is telling me. So, when I look at point M, I see that point M is the y-intercept. So from my summaries and my theory, I know that the y-intercept is worked out when x is equal to 0. I see that E and P are my x-intercepts, so therefore I'll make y 0, get a quadratic equation, factorize and get the values. I notice that they've given me point N, and they did tell me in the question that N is my turning point. And looking at the equation that was given to me, it's in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. So I know I can work out the turning point by using the x coordinates, which is minus b over 2a, substituting that answer into the equation to find the value of y. Right, so they also tell me that NTD is the axis of symmetry, but we will get to that. So looking at the first question, they want me to work out MEP, so that means the y-intercept and the x-intercepts. So when I do this, AM is the y-intercept, so therefore I'm going to make x equal to 0. So that means y is equal to, I don't have to do this, I'm just showing all of you the substitution. I could have from the start just said y is 5, but they did ask me for the coordinates. So M is 0 and 5. Okay. E and P, they are my x coordinates, so I need to find E and P. Those are my x-intercepts. That means make y 0. So 0 equals minus x squared minus 4x plus 5. I don't like the minus, so I'm going to move it all to the left-hand side so that I have a positive x. That means I can factorize this as x plus 5 and x minus 1, which gives me two answers of x negative 5 or x 1. Now looking at my graph, E is far to the left of my y-axis. That means that will represent point E. So x will be minus 5 if y is 0, and P is just to the right of my y-intercept. Oh, not my y-intercept, my y-axis. So P is 1 and 0. That's question A complete. The coordinates of N is my turning point, and as I said, that N must be worked out using the given function. So my turning point, the x coordinate, I can work out by saying minus b over 2a, which means I will have minus 4 over 2 times minus 1, which means I have plus 4 over minus 2. So my x coordinate will have a value of negative 2. Now that I have my x coordinate of negative 2, I can work out my y coordinate by substituting. That's minus 2 minus 4 times minus 2 plus 5. So that will work out to be plus 4 times a minus. That is then going to be plus 8 plus 5. My answer is 9. So therefore n will have coordinates of minus 2 and 9. Great. That's question B. The values of M and C, so that is of my straight line. Right, my straight line. Just going to do that. Okay. So what do I notice? My straight line has a x-intercept and a y-intercept. They are shared. I currently know that M is at 5. So question C, y equals to mx plus c. The y-intercept is at 5. And I know E is at -5. You can use rise over run, or you can use point M, which is 0 and 5, and you can use point E, which is -5 and 0, and work out change in y over the change in x, which means that's y2, y1. So I have 0 minus 5, that will be x2 and x1, and minus 5 minus 0, that is -5 over -5, so my gradient is 1. So y is equal to x plus 5. Great, that's question C. The length of NT. Right. So, what do I know at this point? I know that N I've worked out is -2 and 9. They've told me that NTD is the axis of symmetry, and they showed me that it's in the same line. So that means at this stage that T will share the same x coordinate as N. If I can work out the y coordinate of T, I will have that reading, and I have that reading is 9. Then I can work out the length of NT. Now T is a point on the straight line. I just worked out the equation of the straight line. So -2 is my x value. So y is -2 plus 5. So y works out to be 3. So my t is at -2 and 3. So from 3 to 9, that's the length of NT. Therefore, 9 minus 3 is 6 units. Right, and that's for question D. Now the coordinates of S is question E. Once again, S is in line with M. I know M has coordinates of 0 and 5. That means S will share the y coordinate because it's in the same straight line. But S is also a point on the parabola. So if I substitute the y value, 5 equal to minus x squared minus 4x plus 5, move everything to the left, x squared will become plus 4x, and 5 will cancel out 5, equals 0. If I factorize that, I have a common factor of x and x plus 4. that means x is 0 or x is negative 4. Now the x0 is representing the value of m. So S will take the minus 4 and 5. And that's question E. I could also work on the symmetry, the rules of symmetry. So here is the midpoint. From there to m, I have minus 2 to m, that is 2 units. That means because it's symmetry, that will be 2 units to the left as well. And if that is minus 2, 2 units to the left will give me negative 4. So you could also do it by inspection. Right. Now, the reason why I wrote 1.2 just underneath the graph is because you need to understand how to answer these questions. So, if I make the parabola yellow and the straight line pink, this f of x greater than g of x means I'm looking at yellow and pink. Now, what does greater than mean in interpretation language? It means above. So where is yellow above pink? Right, so do you notice it starts at the x-intercept and it goes to the y-intercept? The rest of the places I have pink above yellow. So my answer there is going to be, it's not included. So from minus 5 to my y-intercept, that is yellow. These interpretation questions is always answered based on the x-axis. Right, the next one. Yellow and pink. Okay. Now, what does less than 0 mean? Less than 0 means negative. Now, when I times, how do I generate a negative? Either when I have a plus times a minus, or a minus times a plus. Now, in terms of graphs, plus means above, minus means below. Now, above what and below what? Above the x-axis and below the x-axis. So I need to find out where I have a plus and a minus. So if I look at this little piece, both of them are negative. And a negative makes a positive. If I look at both of these graphs, so let's do it till the y-intercept. Both of them are above the x-axis, which means they are both plus, and a plus is positive. When I look up to this point, the x-intercept, so from the y-intercept till the x-intercept, what do you notice? Let me do this. What do you notice? That's a plus, that's a plus, and a plus times a plus is a plus. Everything to the right of this x-intercepted P, straight line will be plus because it's above the x-axis, and everything to the right of P will be below, which means it's a minus. And a plus times a minus is a minus. So what can I say? I can say everything And P we said is where? At 1 and 0. And it's included. So it's a square bracket. Everything from 1, including 1, to infinity. Right. Okay. The other answer there is at x negative 5. Now, why would that be at an x negative 5? Because that is a point when they are equal, but it's on the negative side of the graph. Okay, the next one. I have yellow divided by pink, and once again, I'm looking at a negative. Okay, it's basically the same thing. When I divide signs, what do I know? A plus divide by a minus, or a minus divide by a plus. So once again, I can just repeat my previous answer, and that's also included 1 and infinity. Right, that is question 1. I hope you understood it. Have a nice day.